Today in SPG1 Tactical, we shed some light on the Powertac E9R-G4. And be sure to stay tuned to the end of the video for a special discount. Flashlights are amazing technology and brings to your hand the power of light on command. And just like every fantasy story ever, the light can show you the way and help defend you against evil. If you watched my previous video on flashlights, you'll know that I think they're the best all-around self-defense tool for everything prior to responding with lethal force. And maybe even lethal force as well if applied aggressively enough. But not all flashlights are created equal. 5 years ago, I helped out a friend at a local gun show and sat across from a booth all day that caught my eye. It had several different flashlights displayed, and one had been left on sitting in a container of water for the entire day. When the show ended, I went over to speak with this rep and ask him what the deal was. This was where I first laid eyes on the Powertac E9. Fast forward, and for 4 years, I carried the E9 in my pocket every single day. As an instructor in the self-defense industry, I'm often fielding questions for all kinds of topics, to include flashlights. So I naturally endorse what I carry, as it has not failed me once in such a long time. Several of my students then went out and bought the E9, only it was an upgraded version. The Powertac E9R-G4. The R stands for rechargeable, and the G4 stands for Generation 4. When they showed me the new innovations and technologies that had gone into the E9, I knew it was time for me to upgrade as well. I've now had the E9R-G4 for over a year and have to say that I am still amazingly impressed with this light. The way this video will be laid out is in 3 parts: specifications, testing, and pros and cons. So without further ado, let's light this candle. The E9R-G4 weighs in at 4.4 ounces with the 18650 battery installed, or just a little over 1/4 pound. It measures just about 5.5 inches long from tail to crenellated tip, and just about 1 inch at its thickest point at the head, not including the pocket clip. The LED is a Cree XHP50, which stands for Cree's Extreme High Performance line, and it's a 5mm by 5mm emitter. This LED sits inside an orange peel reflector, which gives the light a smoother and more even dispersion. The light passes through a double-coated tempered glass that's designed for maximum light transmission, throwing up to 197 meters or about 215 yards, while being durable enough to handle self-defense striking. All of this sits inside an aircraft-grade aluminum Type 3 anodized body with a diamond pattern knurled texture for a sure grip. And it's IPX8 waterproof up to 2 meters or about 6.5 feet. The E9 has 5 brightness settings, ranging from a Firefly 0.64 lumens to a Turbo 2550 lumens, and you cycle through the settings with the side function button. Whatever setting you're on when you turn the flashlight off will be the setting when you turn it back on again. It also features a 790 lumen direct to strobe option, utilizing the side function button when the light is not already powered on. Battery life is dependent on the type of batteries being used, because the E9 can use both the rechargeable 18650 that comes with it or two CR123 alpha batteries in a pinch. With the included 3200 mAh battery, the light can last just over 2 hours on turbo, 21 hours on low, and up to 50 days on Firefly. And because the included battery is rechargeable, it comes with a magnetic USB charging cable. However, if you were to misplace your Powertac cable, the flashlight has the option of being charged with a micro USB plug. To let you have a visual aid of battery status, Powertac has included an LED window that displays red when your battery voltage is getting low and during charging, and blue for when the battery is fully charged. In addition to the flashlight, in the box you'll find a rechargeable battery, magnetic USB charging cable, holster, stickers, extra O-ring, extra micro USB rubber gasket, keychain rings, a lanyard, and an instruction manual. Now let's take these specifications and put some of them to the test. For this test, we are going to double up on both a grip test as well as a striking test with the crenellated bezel on the E9R-G4. So what this would simulate is something like blood or sweat, possibly even saliva, getting onto the light while you were trying to use it as a blunt weapon, utilizing those crenellated bezel tips to facilitate damage to your attacker. I picked up one of these. It's a hard squash from my local supermarket. It is very hard, so I figured this would be something good to simulate something like a skull or body part. Obviously this is not analogous one-to-one, but I figured this would give us a good example or idea of what this light can do. So we're going to take our baby oil and our light and go to town. So getting baby oil all over it, getting it good, making sure it's all over my hands. We're going to take our light, take our squash, so as you can see, no damage to the crenellated tips, but what you can see is I had no slipping of my grip, even though I'm entirely baby oiled up, and look at the lacerations on that squash. So obviously this isn't something like a knife that wouldn't jab into it, but this is obviously also much tougher than skin, allowing us to see that our crenellated bezel can be a very effective tool for causing at least lateral damage to the extremities, or especially if you do it in the facial region, that our light is durable, strong, the textured grip is very solid, so there's no slipping when hitting this hard object. So all in all, I would say that this is definitely a pass and another check mark in the category of why the E9R-G4 is such a great flashlight. Moving on to the next test.
For battery testing, I went with the shortest and brightest scenario of testing the turbo setting with a timer and time lapse. The light continued to stay bright and strong up to 2 hours and 5 minutes, where it stepped down in brightness and then finally died at 2 hours and 10 minutes, which is right on par with advertised specs. After running the battery completely dead, I wanted to test how long it took to fully charge the battery. So I used a USB battery meter to measure the total milliamp hours charged and how long it would take. The meter on repeated tests showed that it takes around 4 hours and 20 minutes to fully charge, and 3,000 milliamp hours were put back into the battery. For brightness and distance testing, I used my dad dressed in dark clothes on an overcast and hazy night to see how far I could actually see him on turbo setting. I had him start walking straight out into the darkness towards our 100-yard berm. It may be difficult to tell with the YouTube compression, but I was realistically able to see my dad to about 80 yards. You might be able to see a white piece of 10 by 12 steel at the 100-yard point. So in dark and hazy conditions, I was able to see a dark-clothed human at about 80 yards away, which is still very solid for a self-defense pocket flashlight, But while it may officially throw 215 yards per FL1 standards, the realistic distance is about 100 yards in these difficult conditions. But another great thing about this flashlight that you may notice is that it has a nice flood to it as well, allowing for pretty good peripheral situational awareness.
So what we're doing with this testing is I've got two tests going on at the same time. We've got the light trying to figure out its battery life, and we've got a time lapse going to catch that, which you'll see in a second. And then also on a regular basis, I'm taking the temperature of the head of the light because it is such a high lumen LED light, it does get rather warm. So the first 10 minutes, once each minute, I recorded the temperature. And then now every 10 minutes or so, I'm recording the temperature to see where we're at over the period of the life cycle of the battery. Stay tuned.
So looking at the data on the left, you can see that the temperature average of the head over the course of 2 hours was 102 degrees while exposed to about 73-degree air. While this is warm, it's the temperature of a hot tub, so it's not exceedingly hot and won't burn you, but it is something you'll notice.
So the Powertac E9R-G4 is rated to be dropped up to 2 meters or about 6.5 feet. So I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is because this is my personal flashlight that I paid for. I paid for all my Powertac flashlights at this point. And I've got a tape measure out here, measured out to about 6.5 feet. I am on my driveway of nice hard cement. I'm gonna back up to where you can see me dropping it. And we're gonna turn it on, let her fall, pick her up, and then I'll bring her nice and close so that you can see if it's still functioning and what kind of damage happened. Turn it on. So we have our tape measure measured out to 6.5 feet and dropped from 6.5 feet. Light is still on, picking it up. As you can see, light's still functioning just fine. Turning that off and coming in nice and close. Trying to see, oh, I've got some minor damage. Let me bring the light over. Got some minor damage, scratching on the surface right there. Trying to see little minor scratching up here. But the light in and of itself is still functioning perfectly fine. So 6.5 feet, 2.5 meter drop, still functioning just fine.
For the IPX8 testing, I started in a shallow bowl of water and ran this test several times. The light survived just fine, and the only interesting note is that due to the water acting as a heat sink, the battery actually died at about 1 hour and 10 minutes. But this is a physics and battery issue, not anything to do with the light or quality.
So we're here for the second portion of the IPX8 testing on the E9R-G4. We did the initial testing, just slightly submerged in water, and now we're going to submerge this in 6 feet in this pool. The IPX8 rating is supposed to be good until 2 meters, which is just a little over 6 feet. So thankfully my neighbor allowed me to come out and dunk this thing. So let's turn it on and see if it survives 6 feet of water. So I happened to make a mistake, and the neighbor's pool is actually 8 or 9 feet deep. So we're gonna see if this thing actually surpasses the IPX rating. As of right now, it's been down there about 20 seconds, and so far it's still going strong. All right, we're now at approximately 3 minutes or so with this light at about 8 or 9 feet deep, which is beyond what it is supposed to be rated at for the IPX8 rating. So let's go ahead and pull it up. And as you can see, it is still going strong. And that concludes the testing portion of the video. And unfortunately, I have to come back and say that my Powertac E9R-G4 didn't make it after the pool test. A moment of silence, please. Apparently, these specifications are there for a reason, and exceeding them by 3 feet in the deep end of the pool will result in a flashlight that no longer works. The pressure of water at 6.5 feet is about 2.8 pounds per square inch, whereas it's about 4 pounds per square inch at 9 feet, so that extra pound of pressure does make a difference. That being said, I did push the flashlight beyond its listed spec, and it still stayed on for over 3 minutes. I'm now kind of wishing I had gone into the test with the intent of killing it, just to see how long it would last at that depth. But I wasn't trying to kill my own flashlight, as I did pay for it with my own money, and this most certainly does not fall under the lifetime warranty policy. So hopefully my testing and sacrifice has shown you just how durable this light really can be. I mean, I wouldn't take it scuba diving, nor is it rated for that, but you can definitely use this flashlight reliably in extremely inclement and stressful conditions. I guess it's a good thing that I bought a backup. But let's get into the pros and cons of the E9 to close out this video. There are so many positives to this flashlight that I'm actually going to start with the negatives first, and I really can't come up with many. But the first one that comes to mind is that as far as 18650 batteries go, there's some kind of secret sauce in the Powertac cells. The way that the battery's amperage and load rating works is what allows the flashlight to operate at such bright levels. So third-party 18650 batteries will turn the light on, but not get to the same level of brightness. I purchased some Nitecore 3500 mAh 18650s in the hopes that I could squeeze just a little extra operating time, but quickly found out that they do not work at the same level. And this was subsequently addressed in one of the live videos that Powertac does on YouTube and Instagram on a regular basis. They explain that the way they have the batteries made from the manufacturer is what allows them to power such intense settings. This is really more of a pro for the Powertac, but the con side of it being that if you want backup spare 18650 batteries, you'll need to buy them direct from Powertac. To some, the cost of the light might be a con. Retailing at around $130, it's not what some would call cheap. Now, Powertac does frequently run sales, and if you're comparing it to lights in its class and what you're getting, I would argue that the flashlight is worth every penny. But again, could be considered a con to some. However, stick around to the end of the video for that discount. The heat from the flashlight can also be noticeable. As we saw during testing, the head of the flashlight did get up to a maximum of 110 degrees, with an average of around 100 for the 2-hour battery life while on turbo setting. It's most certainly manageable and it won't burn you, but it is something that is a byproduct of such a high-powered LED. It's also important to note that this temperature is not on the handle or grip of the flashlight, just the head. Something that's been a small con for me is the pocket clip. The good news is that because it's removable, if you get it caught on a door, it will pop off without breaking. The downside is that it is a thin metal, so it does bend occasionally when that happens. But you can bend it right back, order new ones from Powertac, or just not be a klutz like me. The size of the flashlight may be a bit large for some people. This is completely subjective, and I'm grasping for cons just to be as critical and transparent about the light as I can. I believe it's a fantastic size, but at 1 inch wide and 5.5 inches long, some folks may think it's large for pocket carry. But again, I'm reaching here because there are so many amazing pros to this flashlight, which is why I personally have carried a version of it for so long. So let's talk about what is awesome about this E9. First is the power to weight ratio. This thing is crazy bright for its size. And then having the adjustable settings for your desired use is great. Even the Firefly setting is great for map reading or low light situations. I personally like a crenellated bezel. I think it adds a force multiplier to an already useful tool, and in over 5 years, I've never had an issue with causing a hole in my jeans pocket. Although some individuals on forums have stated that they've had some wear on their pockets from the texturing, but maybe my jeans are just better. But I digress. A big pro is that you can travel with this light. I've personally been on several flights where I've had this in my carry-on. so you can have a self-defense tool with you at all times. The texture is outstanding. The knurled grip gives the light a rugged and durable appearance while being extremely practical for dealing with sweat, blood, water, or baby oil. The battery life has been excellent. When not leaving it on continuously for testing, I almost exclusively use the turbo and strobe settings, and the light lasts for quite some time before needing a charge. And speaking of charging, having an LED window to let you know when the power is getting low is a wonderful addition. The auto strobe option is great for a couple of reasons. It actually makes the strobe useful for self-defense scenarios. And even more important, no matter what setting you left the light on previously, the strobe is automatically bright. So if you left the light on Firefly, but then you needed to use the light as a self-defense tool, the strobe will still be effective. I found that the rechargeable feature is fantastic. Not having to worry about replacing batteries is a big reduction in cost, storage space, and stress. With the cable being USB 2.0, it allows for use with most all charging blocks for electronics, and the magnetic attachment point reduces the need for perfectly aligning a plug. Additional benefits to the plug being magnetic is that you can keep the light charging at home, in a vehicle, or even in a holster, but grab the flashlight in a hurry without risk of getting the cord caught, giving you a fully charged light with quick deployment. The tail cap switch is protected from accidental activation by being recessed, which is very nice. I've had instances with other companies' lights turning on without my knowledge, and then I'll be sitting there and start to get a really warm sensation just to realize I've wasted battery life and didn't pee my pants. If you desire light color options, Powertac offers colored filters in red, blue, and green, or an orange traffic cone attachment that could be good for something like a roadside emergency kit. And if all that weren't enough to float your boat on how awesome this light is, Powertac offers a lifetime warranty for the quality of the light outside of normal wear and tear. So in my opinion, this thing is bright, versatile, durable, and functional, and this is why I recommend it so highly. And now, the moment that some of you have been waiting for, the discount. To be clear, absolutely crystal clear, I've carried this light and promoted it long before I had any connection with Powertac. As of this year, however, I did apply for their brand ambassador program. So I'm not paid for this video, nor was I encouraged to make this video, but if you use the code SPG1 at checkout, you will get a 15% discount on any of their products, and I will receive compensation for your purchase. But again, I wholeheartedly stand by this light and am not just endorsing it for money. It's truly a great light. I'm not just a spokesman, I'm a client. But there you have it, the review, testing, and discount of the Powertac E9R-G4. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and use those trigger fingers to tap or click on those like and subscribe buttons. And this will help you to be notified of future videos that come out and aid the channel in being able to provide bigger and better videos. Make sure that if you do visit Powertac, that you use the discount code SPG1 to get 15% off your entire order. For outstanding training, hit up Intuitive Self-Protection at intuitivesp.com or the ISP Facebook page, where you can find course schedules, videos, and testimonials for courses in handgun, carbine, empty hand, and edge weapon defense. Check out SPG1Tactical.com, where you can find S2S 5-in-1 Gun Lube, a copy of the book that I helped to co-author, The 6 Bullets You Can't Leave Home Without, a book club with forums for discussion, endorsed gear, and more. And finally, be sure to stay safe, stay smart, and stay tactical, my friends.